Good evening. Welcome to Have I Got News For You? I'm Jo Brand. In the news this week, in Kettering, after killing the neighbour's cat, the perpetrator cleans away all traces of the crime. At a fun fair in Moscow, the WikiLeaks whistleblower Edward Snowden makes a rare public appearance. And despite the criticism of their failings, Belgian security forces are confident of catching another group of suspects. On Ian's team tonight is a comedian who now has his own sitcom on BBC Three, but we only have his word for that. Please welcome Josh Widdicombe. And with Paul tonight is the leader of the Liberal Democrats and a committed Christian who recently said, maybe God's plan is for me to lose a bunch of elections and be humbled. I don't know about God, but that's certainly the voters' plan. Please welcome Tim Farron on, please. And we start with the biggest stories of the week. Paul and Tim, take a look at this, please.
Yes, this is Putin. There's planes and there's bombs being drilled. There's the bombs in black and white. And there's Cameron saying, this is where I'm going to be hiding. So it's the real world attempts to frighten the bejesus out of us again by these Russians have had a plane shot down by Turkey. But it hasn't led to another world war yet. There's sanctions. And whenever we hear the word sanctions, that's always a relief.
How have the Turkish defended their actions?
They've released the warnings.
They have. They've released an audio recording which apparently shows Turkish air forces warning the Russian planes. A voice is heard saying in English, "This is Turkish Air Force speaking. You're approaching Turkish airspace. On guard."
Well, it's a fencing championship.
Bizarre, isn't it? Do you think Turkey's actions were an overreaction?
Well, I wouldn't have done it.
Does Russia have any history of violating other countries' airspace?
None that I'm aware of.
Don't worry, you're not going to be Prime Minister just yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
I think you're safe with an opinion for a while.
How long?
So far, Russia's response has been more restrained than we might have thought. According to the Mirror, Russia today launched a tomato boycott against Turkey because every Turkish tomato bought in the supermarket is a contribution to yet another missile. Really, I just get extra points on mine. But now, Putin's released pictures of his new multi-million-pound three-storey war room in Moscow, from where he directs Russia's.
Is that a story for each world war?
Well, I hope not. Do you want to have a look at it?
Yeah, go on then. Yeah.
But why is Putin in, if that was a theatre, he hasn't even paid to be in the stalls.
That is the exact set of Spectre. I know I'm slightly obsessed by this film, but...
Can't get over the fact that once again you were passed over for the role of Miss Moneypenny.
And the Turkish leader, Erdogan, has been talking tough. Do you want to see him talking tough?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, let's have a look then.
Eğer bugün Van'da Kürtçe propaganda yapabiliyorlarsa bunun önünü açan biz olduk, biz!
It's nice to see the Bee Gees' influence still in modern politics.
It's difficult to pick a team, isn't it?
It's impossible at the moment.
Yeah.
There's someone that can help us, and you'll be pleased to welcome her into the fold. This is Sun columnist and former Tory MP Louise Mensch, everybody.
Excellent. Is she here?
No,
Thank God.
Well, she has something to say about the developing situation. She wrote, "The Pope said the bombings in Paris were the start of World War III. He's right, but not in a bad way." And goes on to say, if World War III involves the Russian bear and Uncle Sam blasting these bastards into smithereens, I'm all for it, as she said from her concrete bunker. So thank you for that, Louise. I mean, it is all getting a bit complicated in Syria. Shall we play a game of goodie or baddie?
Yes.
Right, well, I'll say the name of a group involved in Syria, and you tell me if they're a goodie or a baddie. Let's start with Turkey, OK? Goodie or baddie?
Ooh.
Ian?
Both.
Oh, very clever.
Yeah. Does slightly ruin the game, doesn't it? But then that's what diplomacy is all about.
Well, look, let's start with this, OK. So they're a member of NATO, so that makes them goodies.
A goodie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But they bomb the Kurds.
Yes, they've been bombing
So they're
Kurds, so
bad.
that makes them baddies, that's
Yeah.
right. But they're against Assad and support the Syrian opposition, goodies. But then they shot down a Russian plane. Russia are our new allies, baddies. But then they warned the Russians not to enter their airspace, so maybe that was justified, goodies.
Yes.
But they've been allowing ISIS fighters and arms shipments to travel through their territory, so that makes them baddies. This game hasn't really turned out to be as much fun as I thought.
What's the score there?
I'll tell you what you do next. It's Tim Brooke-Taylor. Goodie or bad?
How has David Cameron argued in favour of airstrikes this week?
Keeps us safer, he said.
He did say that. He'd make it safer. What's the Lib Dem position on airstrikes against Islamic State in Syria, then?
I mean, if it's legal and it's effective, then, you know, you consider it. I think it's probably legal. Are we sure it's going to be effective? We're basing a lot of this on, you know, stuff we don't really know, and it's a big deal when you're voting to send people's kids to war.
And the Prime Minister saying, trust me. Because
I'm a
very
politician.
recently I suggested going in Syria on the other side to bomb Assad. A year later, I'm saying exactly the opposite.
But he does want to bomb Syria, we're sure of that.
Yeah.
A different bit this time. Different bit.
What's Jeremy Corbyn done now?
He's been writing letters.
He has?
Was Jeremy Corbyn's letter just from his mum saying Jeremy can't come to cabinet?
He's written letters to all of his MPs. I don't need to bother doing that. I can just talk to them because they just cannot work together. He's written a letter to all his MPs saying that he cannot vote for the airstrikes or whatever it's going to be.
How's it gone down with his shadow cabinet?
It's bombed.
Yes.
Thank you.
He was accused of showing no leadership at all, and a shadow cabinet member said there are bound to be resignations over this. Why are they particularly so annoyed with him?
They keep talking about collective responsibility in the cabinet, the shadow cabinet, sorry, how ridiculous. The shadow cabinet coming to an agreement about things, and then he just makes announcements.
Yeah, he just doesn't consult anyone.
I thought a lot of them were ringing you up and saying, can I come and join your party?
The latter bit might not be true, but the first bit is true.
So
Well, there are lots of them ringing you up.
They did a little while ago. I think they're just
What are they
fuming to each
saying?
other. They're saying how sad they are that their party is left of centre now.
Are you working at the Samaritan?
I feel that is my role.
If the US coalition and Russia fail to rid the world of ISIS, which unlikely hero can we rely on to do the job instead?
Is it Hillary Clinton?
No, it's US stay-at-home mom, Linda Glock. Nice and smiley, isn't she, Linda
Yes,
Glock?
Yeah, she's nice and smiley, isn't she?
She posted on a social media site, I will destroy ISIS.
Well, thank goodness someone stepped up to the plate.
Now, meanwhile, the mafia has warned ISIS to stay out of New York.
All right.
Yeah. Giovanni Gambino, a mafia boss's son, said, the rise of global terrorism gives the mafia a chance to show its good side. Now, The Sun caused controversy with one of their front pages this week. What did they do?
Print the truth.
They printed a poll.
Yes.
A poll.
Which I think it was their contribution to keeping everyone calm.
Yes.
You know, 1 in 5 Muslims have sympathy for jihadis, and then it turned out this isn't actually what the polling organisation asked. They didn't mention the word jihadis, and there was some quibble about whether it was sympathy for or sympathy with. They didn't take a very large poll. I mean, all of this is going to be a big surprise to you, but this bit of Sun journalism wasn't very well done.
How do they even take that poll? If someone rang me up and said, can I just check if you've got sympathy for ISIS? I presume they were trying to recruit me.
Right, now, Tim, do you think The Sun should apologise? Because they apologised to you once, didn't they?
Oh, they apologised because they got my name wrong, because obviously absolutely everybody knows who I am. And so unforgivably, they got me mixed up with Michael Fallon, who is the Defence Secretary, so he gets my post, and he gets to speak to South Liberal Young Liberals, and I get his post, and I have the Trident codes. That's great.
Let's just get back to the Sun's apologies.
Yes,
Because
yes.
unsurprisingly, it was a bit sarcastic. Yesterday, we published a comment piece by the Liberal Democratic leader. Although the Lib Dems have slipped from the public eye in recent months, we should have managed to spell his name correctly. It is, of course, Tim Farron, not Fallon. We apologise to Mr Farron and our Lib Dem reader. Now, with the attacks in Paris and everything kicking off in Syria, it's good to know that our army will be keeping us safe. Who knows what Captain Coward's been up to this week? Unfortunate name, I grant you. Anyone?
He's not a cartoon character, he's a real person.
No, it's a woman, Captain
right.
Clapton. She's got a clap as well. Captain Claire Coward's got the clap. What a great poem that is. She hasn't, I'm
Can
sorry,
you say that?
Claire.
Oh, okay. I think alliteration is no defence in law.
Captain Claire Coward of the Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers sent a 400-word email to junior officers complaining about their poor performance when it comes to supplying coffee and biscuits to senior commanders. She wrote, ensure that there is always enough coffee, never run out and don't scrimp on biscuits. A selection of the following always goes down well: Jaffa cakes, chopped malted milks, choc hobnobs or digestives. And as a treat, party rings of pink wafers.
It's a sign of pomposity, really, isn't it? To
It
devote
is.
that much effort to
It is,
the
really.
pink wafers.
I think the pink wafer, I've never liked the pink wafer.
No.
I think it's, I think it's misleading.
Yeah, what
It's-
type of biscuit is that?
Yeah, it's just all pink wafer. There's nothing else. And if you don't like pink wafer, that's it. I mean, with a Jaffa cake, there's some sort of surprise in the middle. Well, not a surprise when you have more than one, but... Does anyone here actually enjoy eating pink wafers? See, nobody. Well, you eat anything that's got a cake on it, isn't it?
Anything that's got a cake on it,
Yeah.
or a cape on it.
Yeah.
A cape.
Cake.
I'd eat that, man.
Would you?
Yeah. So this is the continuing mess in Syria. David Cameron has been trying to persuade MPs to support airstrikes. He's embarking on a high-risk strategy involving himself in a civil war with fanatical factions fighting each other to topple an unpopular leader. But what can he do? He needs those Labour votes.
You were told not to bring pets into the audience.
According to The Guardian, Ed Miliband this week said Jeremy Corbyn has what it takes to be Prime Minister. Well, if anyone knows, it's not him. Ian and Josh, take a look at this.
It's another budget. Oh.
Where have they hidden?
That's the new rapid reaction police force.
That's the last time we could afford to buy a house. Yeah, George Osborne's done a U-turn in his autumn speech.
Everything he said he was going to do, he hasn't done. So he's not going to cut the police, he's not going to cut tax credits, there's plenty of money for the armed forces, plenty of money for the SAS, money for everything. What you got? What you want? It's an extraordinary U-turn. And I mean, presumably, he was watching this programme when there was some mild criticism of his initial budget, and he's come to his senses.
Do you think, Paul, that's because you had a chat with Jacob Rees-Mogg about it last week and it's had some effect on him and he's gone and...
I don't think anything from the 21st century could have any effect on Jacob Rees-Mogg whatsoever. If I was sitting here wearing a periwig, I might have got through to him.
Well, according to the Mirror, he executed a humiliating U-turn today by ditching his raid on tax credits. Labour MPs whooped and claimed a major victory. But whose victory was it really? Because quite a few people were claiming it. Chuka Amuna,
definitely me.
big win for Labour. Sun Nation, huge victory for the Sun. Sean Lafferty, congratulations to the Greens. Tim Farron, tax credits cut, scrapped, a massive Lib Dems win. Hey!
Well, it was a vote in the Lords, and it was a lot of your lot.
It was our Lords who voted against it to scrap it, so I think we can claim at least as much credit as the Mirror.
How did Labour press home their advantage?
This is the less happy bit of the story.
He got out Chairman Mao's Little Red Book, the Shadow Chancellor.
Yes, John McDonnell.
John
he did.
McDonnell.
It was meant to be a joke. And it was him saying, you know, you've sold a lot of Britain to China, this is how they're going to deal with you. But he didn't think for the vast majority of people they'd be thinking, oh, you're a former communist and you're now waving Chairman Mao's book around. So then he threw the book across the chamber, and Osborne, I do hate to say this, came up with a joke. He said, it's your personally signed copy. You see, you're laughing at a Tory Chancellor. That's how bad things have got in this.
How's George Osborne managing to do all this when he was saying only a few weeks ago that huge cuts were necessary?
The day before, someone said you have an extra 27 billion, largely coming from tax, which is the other way to raise money, apart from cutting spending. I like the description of him as the lucky Chancellor. I mean, unbelievably lucky.
Yes, but he's still going to cut 12 billion from welfare. So he just hasn't said yet where he's taking that from. Might be from you, madam. Who knows? None of us know.
That would be better, wouldn't it?
Do you
Just pick
think?
on one person. And everyone else... I think if you put that to the country and said there's 12 billion, do you want to share it out between you? Or one of you takes the hit?
Can I vote for Andrew Lloyd Webber? He can take it. What's George Osborne's big plan?
What's his big plan?
Big plan, yeah.
Become leader.
Yeah, become leader of the Conservative Party and then move from number 11 to number 10 and not hold that red box up anymore.
Yeah, that, and to get the debt down. At the moment, does anyone know how much it is at the moment?
It's about $1 trillion.
Yeah.
It's 1.56 trillion and rising. Look, here it is counting up, see?
Oh, my God.
Seems to be
Someone
going
needs
quicker.
to stop him. It's still going. We should have that above Trafalgar Square.
And we have Andrew Lloyd Webber handcuffed next to it. And every time it goes past like another million, he gets a slap. But actually, then, you know. And what did George Osborne promise individual taxpayers?
A kiss.
Everyone will have their own online personal tax account to file their tax return over the internet.
I won't.
You will?
No, I don't have any access to the internet. I don't have a mobile phone. I know, just like everybody else 30 years ago.
Now it's just you and Jacob Rees-Mogg, isn't it?
He's got a clockwork one.
How did Robert Peston cover the autumn statement on his last 10 o'clock news?
He sung and danced it, didn't he? Came down some steps in a top hat, twirling cane, silver top cane. The news is breaking tonight. Osborne says it's all right. He's the Chancellor. You know.
Yeah.
I was really excited to see how far that was going to go.
I shouldn't have. I was trying to rhyme Chancellor and I backed out. I'll show you my pecker. I'm from the Exchequer.
Now, we mustn't get UKIP in all this. What did single, solitary, powerless UKIP MP Douglas Carswell say about the autumn statement?
Oh, I don't remember.
Well, he pointed out that this will be the first year ever that the Home Office budget will be less than the foreign aid budget. Apparently, they've spent 15 million trying to reduce the flatulence of Colombian cattle to combat climate change.
To be fair, that's a lot of corks. Apparently, you can sometimes do a Nigel Farage impression. Is that right?
I once did a Nigel Farage impression.
Did it go down well?
Well, it was me v Clegg in the warm-ups for the Nick v Nige things last year. All I did was make stuff up, which is what he does.
Yes.
Simple. Turned up in a purple tie, drank quite a lot. Brilliant.
Ian, do you have any political impressions you'd like to give us?
He's got a good Pitt the Younger. He's doing it now. That's it now.
And this is Pitt the Elder.
I had a go at doing political impressions. It didn't go very well, so I gave
Who'd you
them up. Tony Benn.
Okay.
But I can only do Tony Benn singing Alicia Dixon. Does she wash up? She never washes up. Does she brush up? No, she never brushes up.
Very good.
Can I kill this fly?
Yes, really.
Can't we negotiate first?
I'll just ring the UN.
Has it gone over your airspace?
En garde! En garde!
There you go.
And so to round two, the scrambler of news. Buzz when you know what it is.
Yeah. Oh, this is the boy who I saw this, which is why I'm able to press the button and answer with some authority. He was singing the Australian national anthem, but he got about a hiccup, so he sort of hiccuped his way through it. But no, it's okay because he got severely punished for it. No, everybody found it very amusing. I think some of the players found it quite amusing.
Should we have a look?
Let's have a look.
Oh, yeah.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice. We've got
His name is Ethan Hall. What happened after the performance?
He was chased out of town.
Well, despite his unfortunate dilemma, he bravely carried on before being widely applauded by the crowd and earning high fives from the players. Yeah, and in other sports news, why has Seb Coe given up his ambassadorial role with Nike?
This is all very murky, isn't it? Because they gave the International Athletics World Championship to a city that I've never even...
Eugene.
Eugene?
Yeah, I'd never heard of this.
Eugene, Oregon.
Isn't that an opera by Tchaikovsky?
It's the centre of Nike's business.
Yeah.
Have you ever bought a Nike product, Ian?
Yes, I have a number of their waistcoats.
Do you know how much they were employing Seb for?
It was
per
over
annum?
£1 zillion.
It was £100,000 a year as a brand ambassador. Why had these suspicions been raised?
There was no bidding process.
No bidding
It was just
process,
awarded
yeah.
to them. People think that Seb, in his role as ambassador, might have said to himself as vice president, why don't we give the championship to this town whose major employer pays you £100,000
That's
a year?
ridiculous. That would never have happened.
No.
So anyway, he's had to resign.
How did Sebco help fund his presidential campaign for the presidents as the president? How did Sebco help
Have you
fund his...
on something?
I'm on menopausal ladies heroin. Don't know if you know that, folks. It's lovely. It's called Solpadeine Plus Soluble, and crikey does it give an old lady a bit of a... I'm not even being paid to advertise it.
No, you're a brand ambassador. It's fantastic.
As everyone wants to be a brand ambassador for Solpadeine Plus.
You can't stop talking about it, though, can you?
And on the theme of allegedly corrupt men in sport, what has Sepp Blatter been up to this week?
We surely don't have to say allegedly with Blatter.
No.
Even he doesn't believe he's innocent.
No. He keeps having panic attacks, doesn't he?
He told Swiss TV channel RTS, the pressure on me was enormous. It came to the point where my body said, stop. Enough is enough. I was close to death. I sat between angels singing and the fire of the devil. Although I suspect he was slightly closer towards the fire of the devil.
That's hell of a symptoms to go into your doctor with, isn't it? Just 2 paracetamol, see if it gets rid of it.
You know what I'd be recommending? Anyway, sticking with football, what extreme lengths has this man gone to ensure his son supports his team, Millwall?
Oh, well, it's one of these things where he's named him after every sort of player in the Millwall team.
Well, yeah, not quite every
Not
player. But it is along those lines. He's named him Bermondsey Millwall Den Bloomfield. And his nickname is Poor Little
The joke's on him, because Bloomfield Road is Blackpool's home ground, so...
I bet he's laughing.
Yeah, oh, I'm lucky.
I saw that one quite early. What an idiot. Bloomfield. I was on London Bridge once, and there were about 50 Millwall fans on the other platform. And one of them saw me and shouted, "Oi, Islop, wanker!" And they all started running up the bridge to come over to the other side. I thought I was going to die. I had and the devils of fire here, angels here.
What did you do? Solpadeine?
Oh.
Sorry, I'm going to stop doing it. What did you do? Did you
I
lick
ran
it?
really
Yeah.
fast.
Did you? Get away?
Yeah.
Lucky you had your Nikes on.
Yeah.
How did Mike Bloomfield convince his wife Kelly to go along with the name?
Rohypnol?
Did he not tell her they were Millwall related?
Yes, he didn't ask her, actually. According to the Metro, when Kelly was taking a nap, shortly after returning home from the hospital, Mike snuck off to register his new son's name. She was pretty angry at first, but has since come round to the name, saying, "It's growing on me. I think he looks a bit like a Bermondsey." Fingers on buzzers, teams.
That's the hole that the potential thieves drilled at Hatton Gardens.
That's right.
It is.
Potential thieves.
Well, on the
I mean,
outside,
that's cautious, isn't it?
I reserve my judgment. They might have just been lost.
It was kind of it was the Dad's Army kind of criminal gang, wasn't it? They hid the jewels under a gravestone or something. Is that right?
No, that was Scooby-Doo.
Okay.
Can I just stress that 4 people have pleaded guilty and 4 people are on trial. 2 of those standing trial have been described as second-hand car dealers. Shocking. If it turns out they did it, I'll never trust a second-hand car dealer again.
Didn't they discuss it in the pub? They had all their meetings on a Friday night in the pub. Well, we've all made plans like that on Friday night in the pub.
They carried it out, you see.
That's what I like about them. That's what makes Britain great.
Exactly. Britain's plucky pensioners.
How did eldest ringleader Brian Reader, otherwise known as the Master or the Governor, get to the raid?
He got public transport,
Oh,
didn't
he
he?
used his Oyster.
He used his Oyster cards, that's right, to jump on the bus to the raid from his home in Dartford.
The other way they caught him is the next day put £4 billion on the Oyster card.
In other crime news, what did 2 car thieves from Virginia discover when they stole a car this week?
But neither of them could drive.
Well, they actually found a child on the back seat.
Oh.
And what did the 2 community-minded car thieves do?
Cracked the window open, closed it back and left it.
No, before stealing the car, they dropped the boy off at school. This is the start of the Hatton Garden jury trial. 4 men who have pleaded guilty have an average age of 68. The raid didn't go to plan, as when they finally reached the basement, they forgot what they'd come downstairs for. Time now for the odd one out round. Ian and Josh, your 4 are Ronaldinho, Republican candidate for president Kathy Fiorina, Jimmy Nail, and Zimbabwe's Mission Serre.
Ronaldinho is obviously a footballer. I think he had dental work done recently because he's always famously had kind of rabbity teeth. Is that the description? That's not the description. It's that kind of abuse that's made him have to change his teeth. Jimmy Nail, he's ugly.
Donald Trump was rude to her and described her as ugly. Is that right?
Correct, that is right.
Mission Serre, he looks like he's in one of those gurning competitions or one of those things.
Are we on the right lines?
Yes, you are. It is an ugly question.
3 of them have been described as ugly.
And the other one describes himself as ugly.
Quite happy with it.
Yes,
and that
which
person
one?
is
Mission Serre. Well, you're pretty much there. He's Zimbabwean. He's the odd one out because he won the country's annual Mr. Ugly competition this week. However, the competition ended in uproar when Mison's rivals claimed he was too handsome.
He's just got terrible teeth, that's all.
Well, that's right, because people specifically criticised the fact that his ugliness wasn't natural since it was based on missing teeth. Well, let's move on to Carly Fiorina. Donald Trump recently said of his female Republican rival, look at that face, would anyone vote for that? Can you imagine that, the face of our next president? A comment so crass that even his hair tried to distance itself from him. Now, Jimmy Nail, according to the Mail, Jimmy Nail had his show Crocodile Shoes rejected from Brazilian TV because his face was considered too ugly for Brazilians to look at. And as far as Ronaldinho was concerned, Real Madrid president Florentino Perez, he told Spanish newspaper El País, there's no point buying him, it wasn't worth it, he's so ugly that he'd sink you as a brand. Who did Madrid sign instead?
David Beckham.
Indeed they did. Florentino said of him, just look at how handsome Beckham is. Did I get it?
I'm not sure.
Anyway.
You certainly didn't give a warning.
No. Ronaldinho is actually a nickname meaning Little Ronaldo. He was forced to use a nickname to differentiate himself from the many other players called Ronaldo in Brazil. What was teammate Roberto Carlos's witty solution to having 2 Ronaldos in the squad?
Ronaldo and Ronaldon't.
Yeah, I would have liked that, but he just said, I always just called Ronaldo ugly, so Ronaldinho I'll simply call hideous. Footballers are lovely, aren't they? They have all been accused of being too ugly, apart from Zimbabwe's Mr. Ugly, Mission Serre, who's been accused of being too handsome. Here he is with his winning smile. I still would, though. In 2003, Real Madrid refused to sign Ronaldinho because their marketing department thought he was too ugly, which also explains the controversial signing of left-back Jennifer Lopez. Paul and Tim, here are yours.
Yep.
Ben Carson, the Ken doll, Kanye West and Tom Cruise.
They haven't all had a doll made out of them.
It's someone they've all been portrayed as.
Is it Jesus?
Yes, it is.
Because Kanye West called his album Yeezus, didn't he?
That's right.
Perhaps they're all Jesus.
They're all Jesus.
Except him. He's a Scientologist.
Yeah, you did.
Yes.
Well done, you did almost get it. The answer is they've all been depicted as Jesus apart from Republican presidential candidate Ben Carson, who was depicted in a painting with Jesus, which hangs on his wall. That's not Jesus, that's Wolf from Now, as far as Tom Cruise is concerned, the Bible Walk Museum in Ohio houses a series of waxworks of various celebrities, all recycled, so they represent characters from the Bible. Here, for example, is a recycled Tom Cruise as Jesus on the left.
Okay.
Let's play a little game. I'll show you a religious waxwork and you have to tell me which celebrity it originally was.
Okay.
First off, King Solomon.
Vanessa Phelps.
That's John Travolta.
It is John Travolta, Ian.
Brilliant work.
Next up, it's a rather dapper-looking angel.
Prince Philip.
Indeed, it's Prince Philip. So, who wants to go to that museum? Nobody. Right, rapper and famous prat Kanye West has often equated himself with Jesus and was depicted as the Son of God on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine. Ken doll is actually part of an exhibition in Buenos Aires in which Barbie and Ken adopted various religious guises. Here's Ken. And here he is doing suggestive shepherd. Some collectors have invested a lot in the Kenner's Jesus doll, only to be disappointed. They put him away safely in the sealed box, but when they go back to check on it 3 days later, the box is empty, except for the robes, which have been left neatly folded up. Let's stay with religion, but go somewhere else with it. Why have some 12th century monks from Glastonbury been outed as lying bastards this week?
Because they're really from the 13th century.
Well, archaeologists from the University of Reading have concluded that many of the myths around Glastonbury Abbey were, in fact, made up by 12th century monks facing a financial crisis.
This isn't news. There was a particularly good documentary fronted by... myself, which, discussed exactly this question.
What did they do, like a kind of 12th century insurance job?
No, they went for a dig, and they said, my goodness, we found the bones of King Arthur and Guinevere in the cemetery. Unbelievable good luck.
Mm. Did they then go to a car park in Leicester and find that king?
Well, not only did they say that Arthur and Guinevere were buried there, they said that Jesus visited Glastonbury as a boy.
Yeah.
He couldn't get in over the fence, though, could he? No.
Headline actor was a middle-aged Mick Jagger. And finally, what happens if you're a high-ranking Russian Orthodox priest and you can't get into a car because you've got a big hat on? Do you want to see?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, that's brilliant.
Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication The Business of Ferrets, the magazine of the Wessex Ferret Club. It's for people who think rats just aren't long enough. And we start with, what for 7 minutes a day could cure people of racism?
Is it excessive use of sunbed?
Thinking.
It's meditating. For 7 minutes a day could cure people of racism. Next, prisoners set up what to keep fit?
Tunnel building programme.
It's Rambling Club.
The very gullible governor.
Now you better be back by 6 o'clock.
This is at a Nottingham prison. Rambling is offering a new form of exercise to prison inmates, where they go on long walks and reminisce about showbiz in the 70s. Next, pensioner uses what to turn mobility scooter into convertible?
A high-powered jet engine.
Is it very low bridge?
It is pensioner uses washing basket to turn mobility scooter into convertible. This is a woman pictured in The Sun on Thursday. Here she is.
How come the blind man's looking straight at her? Is he entitled to that dog?
If she's on her way to Dragon's Den, I don't fancy her chances. Next, overly enthusiastic delivery man surprises customer by what?
Shoving a cucumber through a letterbox.
Did he squeeze himself through the letterbox?
Oh, dear me. Extraordinary image you create.
Overly enthusiastic delivery man surprises customer by leaving his parcel waiting for him on the roof. This is a delivery man who tried to throw a parcel through a window but missed and it landed on the roof of the house. The driver then posted an official card through the letterbox which said, "I've left your parcel in a safe location as requested by the sender," before adding by hand, "Sorry, top of roof." Here it is. A spokesman for the delivery firm said, "We have apologised and are sending a bouquet of flowers to the customer. You'll find them in the chimney pot." Next, scrotum squeezing is what?
Quite difficult for ferrets because they've got short arms.
Is it the poor man's backgammon?
I think you'll be surprised by this.
Is it scrotum squeezing is key to my success, says Joe Pasquale.
Scrotum squeezing is about to get a whole lot harder for Paralympians.
What?
Yeah, I know, this is so weird. The Paralympics is set to get tough on scrotum squeezing as athletes have been risking their lives to gain an advantage of up to 10% as the bizarre practice tricks the brain into giving them more power and adrenaline. And even more if they're your own. I don't, who's heard of that? Anyone?
So I'm just experimenting, hang on. One more count. Yeah, no, so. Okay. Okay, let's get on to the next question. What do I...
And finally,
Yeah, final, yeah.
at the National Ferret Fair 2015, do not bring any ferrets that what?
Appear to have been radicalised.
At the National Ferret Fair 2015, do not bring any ferrets that have had diarrhoea within the last 3 months.
That's good advice, isn't it?
It is good advice. Weirdly, this is from the business of ferrets. A ferret with diarrhoea, that's 2 things you don't want running down your trousers. So, the final scores are Paul and Tim have 4, but Ian and Josh are this week's winners with 6.
Very sorry, all my fault.
Just before we go, there's just time for the caption competition. Ian and Josh have this.
Is he saying, so, according to Tinder, you like dogs and horse riding?
Paul and Tim get that.
Head case. Say no more. Probably seen that already.
And I leave you with news that there's embarrassment at Tate Modern after their catering staff accidentally win the Turner Prize. At a European summit, the Greek Prime Minister suggests he could save money by sharing a hotel room. And in Jerusalem, an interpreter is a little slow arriving at the translation, goat's testicle. Good night.